Do you want my face blacked out? You normally do. I thought I'd just drop in and
rise up to the fight. One love, one life for the revolution.
when you carry a little bit of a cult status, as the good lady on the show, Coach Maria, has up there in Canada, our neighbours, fast and female. Soccer is global, pro soccer, amateur, doing great things up there with the college programs, the coaching programs, and the development of the whole game up there in Canada itself. On the show today, and thank you very much for joining us, Maria Procopio. Thank you and welcome, Maria.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. I love the intro.
I do my best. I had a terrible one last week anyway, but that was all to do with Doc Holliday and stuff. But I like to do a little bit of history and stuff as well. So, hey, Maria, is it cold up there? It's freezing here in Colorado.
Yeah, it's cold. I mean, Fahrenheit wise, I went to school in the States, so I know the difference of what it is here. So I'll go in Celsius and Fahrenheit. So we're probably sitting at just 28 Fahrenheit or so, which is actually not bad for us up here. It's gotten down to, I think, almost zero in Fahrenheit. So it's been cold. But yeah, we're doing okay. I mean, we're just excited to get back, but the snow is is coming and melting and coming and melting. So yeah, but people are braving the weather and training outside. Right before this, I was walking the dog outside, so it's bearable to be out there and get some fresh air.
Better to be moving, doing something with hat and gloves on than hanging around, right?
I know, yeah. But I'd rather be on a beach right now, especially being locked down for the last year. So I'd rather be on a beach, and I think about that sometimes when I'm on my walk.
Yeah, well, I know. Catching up with you today, we can go over a little bit of background with your stuff. So, and I know you're super busy and you're involved in lots of things, including your shows as well. What's it look like currently for you, Maria, with under the circumstances?
Yeah, so I think the first kind of lockdown, which happened in March, kind of just took everybody by surprise. No one kind of knew what was happening and what it would be like. So for me, it was more March to start planning what I'm going to do for the athletes. I didn't think that I thought it was going to be like 2 weeks or a couple weeks or 1 month. And then I started to realize end of March that this is going to be around for a while. So I started this series in April, started to feature people that I knew in the soccer industry, started to get people from all over the world speaking. We started doing everybody's favorite Zoom sessions and all of that. And I just started doing that and just starting. Why I did it was more to inspire athletes to stay motivated, because there was times in March where I decided, hey, I don't want to do this and I just want to sit around and I was feeling down. So I started the series April 1st. And we were doing something every day for the athletes. And then obviously, because the weather got nice in May and June, we were able to start doing stuff outside. So I kind of put the series on hold. We still did stuff here and there. But then I was working 16 hours in the summer, barely home. But I was training and being able to be outside. And then again, I knew around wintertime, we would probably go back into lockdown. So January 1st, I started a series again where every day at 3 p.m. Eastern time, we are featuring someone on air on Instagram or Zoom. And then twice a week, we do Zoom sessions for free. And I decided to do this all for free because I understand the Zoom sessions and I understand people don't have the space or resources, but I wanted to give back in order not to lose players in the sport and just to keep people motivated. So that's what I've been up to every day at 3 p.m. Eastern on my Instagram. We feature a guest coach, a player, whoever we could get in the industry. And we got to get you on for sure. And I know we've talked about that, but you're coming on soon.
Somebody walked in.
Yeah.
I know I've been following them. They're absolutely fantastic. And the beauty of it is they're so varied. Can you go over a few of the sort of programs of the topics of those programs? Because they are varied.
Yeah, so we've had obviously me living here in Canada, the United States, and over in the UK for a while. I've met so many people in this industry, and if I don't know them, I'll send them a message on Twitter, any social media platform, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, by email. Some of them have been recommended. But what I've tried to do is get a variation of people, pro athletes. So we've had some pro athletes like, I can't believe Erin McLeod, Canadian women's national team player came on. We have an MLS player coming up and a Canadian men's national team player coming up as well. And then obviously pro players playing in Europe we featured. And then we featured university athletes, coaches that are coaching in professional clubs. We featured analytics, people in the industry and analytics. We featured nutritionists, yoga instructors, whoever we can get that can bring value. I always talk about an athlete becoming a 360 round athlete, having the four corners. And that's something you learn on your coaching courses, the social, psychological, tactical, technical aspects and physical aspects. So we try to bring people in those industries to speak on this great platform and give back. And everybody I've spoken to has been excited to do it. I've gotten a couple no's because people are obviously so busy or have a lot going on. But just to hear from some people in the industry about COVID, and we always ask the question, like you have as well, as what we're doing to stay motivated. I always ask our people on guests, even if they're not players, what they're doing to stay motivated, because it's easy right now to just stay at home and stay in bed, right?
Yeah. Fortunately, I'm an early riser, and I got a couple of dogs. You've got your best friend there as well. Yeah. So I mean, I got a couple of dogs that get me up, and I'm an early riser. When you've been doing all these interviews, broadcasts, call them what you will, Maria. Have you been educated as well? Like, I didn't realise that. And when you talk pre and post broadcast with the guests, like educated yourself as well as putting it out there for your followers and viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me as well, I obviously have saved all these series. Eventually, I'll get around to learning the technology side to put them in either a podcast or put them up on YouTube. Because since April 1st to now, we've featured and done over 150 guests. So I want to be able to feature them. So I'm listening to a lot of them back and cutting clips and different things that they've said in there to kind of reshare on my social media platform. So yeah, absolutely. I've learned so much from everybody just around, especially I think around scheduling and like planning a day. Like you said, being an early riser was something I have never been. Now I'm up 6:45, 7 a.m. Most days it's still obviously getting used to that. But that's such a change in lifestyle. And I'm trying to do more. I plan probably down to every 30 minutes what I want to do. But yeah, I've learned so much, and I bought a lot of, like, if I've had a guest speaker on who's featured in a book or they've written a book, I've bought in it and have read that, or people have recommended books or podcasts and I've listened on. Someone recommended Clubhouse and now I'm obsessed with that app. I don't know if you know about it yet, but it's like the new social media app and I'm on it every day. Right before this, I was just listening as I was walking to Alexi talk, who's obviously a broadcaster in US soccer. So it's just great to hear from people like that.
I think it's never ending as well. It's always available. And, when you're talking to someone, in their professional line of work, it becomes consistent. Now, when you're going to be editing these podcasts, they become still existent, even though it could have been a 6 months, 6 months time zone, from the initial interview. It's still there. So it all becomes relevant and still relative to, what we're doing with the athletes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think in there's like we've before, I mean, without, like, there was obviously some NCAA restrictions, but we were interviewing some NCAA Division I coaches, not so much now because obviously they're in school. And any interview we've done with a Division I coach, or some coaches have just said, hey, no players, just coaches. But they're happy now that I could share that with them in the interview. So I think when we release those to players, they're going to be able to see, like Eric from University of Dayton on the women's side, be able to see an inside look from his program and what they do. And I mean, we spoke around his formation, and I think it's so special to hear from him because they play a 3-6-1, which you think about that and you're like, wow. Who's playing that? And he talked about if players don't watch us and they email and they say, oh yeah, I really like your style. And then he says, okay, what is our style? And they don't know, then he knows they haven't done their research, because you don't hear that formation often. So to hear from people like that in the profession has been absolutely incredible. We have Scott coming on, who's the Kansas City goalie coach for the MLS. So it's great to have someone like that on and share his expertise on the MLS side.
So you touched on, these team shapes and the college coaches and not giving too much away, certainly on the, the political protocol side of it. I get that. What's your involvement, with helping those athletes maybe identify the college, the soccer program that's right for? I know you do a tremendous amount of work for your crew up there and sort of in the US as well. So what's that look like for you when, hey, Maria, need some advice? What's it look like?
Yeah, so I think for me, I do recruiting much differently and try to help out players. Not only did I go through the process, I went through the process pretty late. I had so many schools reaching out and emailing and sending stuff in look at that photo. That's a throwback.
There you go.
Yeah. And that day we had just ran too. So I just want to say in that photo, I looked the happiest, but we had just ran our preseason beep test. So it was literally like right after that run, we had taken that photo. So yeah, that's a great throwback. And whenever I see that, I laugh. But anyway, so like I think because I played in the system, and I don't try to discount any recruiters doing this, but I do recruiting much differently because I played and I've done the international experience playing in the US. You know, I've lived in that life where I've missed Canadian Thanksgiving. I've missed Christmas. I haven't been able to come home for birthdays or engagement parties, or like some of my family members getting obviously pregnant and announcing they're having a kid. So I've missed a lot of things. So I do recruiting much differently because I've lived that life. And I think that's one thing that makes me stand out compared to other recruiters in the industry, because I don't think they've lived what it's like. I've traveled down to hot cities, and obviously being here, and you know how it is playing in the snow and living in a cold weather. Yeah. We often talk to our athletes, are you going to be comfortable moving down to Florida and playing in hot weather? Because people don't think about that, but obviously that's such a huge part of our culture and life. So I do recruiting differently, but I try to help out athletes as much as I can. We're not charging athletes right now. I don't think recruiting right now. Obviously, once I start getting more busy and I can't spend as much time, we'll obviously start charging athletes on our platform. But right now, we're giving out free advice. We're connecting athletes with schools for it, because I can't justify. People are already in financial hardships right now. So obviously, I want to be able to provide those resources to people.
So molding that together with the available, if anybody calls me, I'm putting them straight onto you, right? Because that's
Perfect.
your department. Oh, no problem. So yeah, we'll put the numbers out anyway. So that experience, you know, coming through high school, knowing that you wanted to progress through your education, academics and athletics, and going into that, what did that look like? And you touched on it with the advice that you're giving it. So what were your experiences going through high school, into college, and that process, knowing that I want to play soccer and I want to be educated as well?
Yeah. So I'm not going to sit here and say I was a straight A student. I was perfect. I was probably the opposite of that. I go back and talk to people in high school, my teachers, and it's always like, not a joke, but like they always say to me, like, I cannot believe you're this person now. I was someone that obviously I spent time in Italy in the first year of high school. So I came back to Canada. And when I went into high school, I didn't really understand, like, and it sounds so silly now looking back at it, like going to class and like being accountable for my actions and showing up and putting in work, and not just saying, okay, I need 50% to pass. That's what I'll aim for. And that's something that I did in high school. It wasn't until, and that's why obviously the recruiting process for me was much different, because I didn't have the grades, and I had Division I offers. I had so many offers. Like, I sit here and brag, but I had 63 offers come through. And we narrowed it down to 12 schools and Division I programs all the way to smaller programs. And when I was visiting these Division I schools, they knew my grades, and they were whining and dining me. Well, obviously not the wine part, but they were throwing out the red carpet for me. And they said, like, get your grades up, get your grades up. And even them telling me that, still in my mind was like, I don't care about my grades. So I ended up going to junior college. And I spent time there. But I think that was the best moment for me, because it opened my eyes to, okay, what do I want to do next and where do I want to go? So when I was playing at JUCO, the team, I don't think you've ever had a win. I went to it because it was in Erie, Pennsylvania. It was a school I visited. I really loved the coach, and I really loved the atmosphere. It was small, and they were looking at me as someone to help, and they knew I was going to leave in a year and be able to go on to another program. So I was someone who went to that program. We ended up doing so well. I was leading in assists, and I felt that I had, like, it was empowered by these players around me. Some of my best friends still today were those players from the team. And I just developed so much. And then I obviously transferred, where you threw up that picture, to Gagnon University Division II program, where I could have went Division I because of my grades. But at that point, because obviously then I started to get my act together. But I went Division II. Is the best decision of my life. But I think that moment of me understanding that I needed to go the JUCO route really changed who I am. And obviously that's why I'm here now, is because I had those moments to kind of find myself as a player. Now, obviously my career ended early due to injury, and now I'm a coach, which I'm thankful for. But my advice when I talk to athletes is I tell my story, and I tell them how bad I was and how much trouble I would get in and stuff. And I say, like, don't end up going down this route. Like, nothing against JUCO schools. I think some people need that. But if you could just apply yourself a little bit more, then you could go and you won't have to worry about scrambling for smaller schools in a smaller division like a JUCO program.
So your advice, well, I've heard it now, your advice, and, talking to these players and these parents, of course, is, hey, this was me. This is where I came from. And here's your options. And you're talking about the schools as well on that program. So do you think you're giving that sort of not a little get out clause, but, hey, you really need to be doing this. You're 15, you're 16, you're 17. If you are, don't do what I do, sort of effect, with all due respect, Maria.
Yeah, absolutely. I meet people who are all the time that are maybe getting those bare minimum grades and stuff. And I tell my story. Like, my mom tells my story, and she's involved in a lot of what I do as well. Like, she'll come out and she'll help, like, register players for combines, and she loves, and get so embarrassed still. She loves bragging and telling my story and what I did. But I meet people all the time. I mean, I meet athletes who call me in grade 12 and say, hey, Coach Marie, I'm working with so many athletes now who are 2021s in grade 12. And they're saying, hey, Coach Marie, can you help me? And I always say, show me your grades. And they're always worried, or they're like, oh, well, I'm retaking this class. And I tell my story right away. And I think that's why I'm so successful in what I do, is because I've lived that experience. I wasn't a perfect straight A student. So when I get a player like that, I'm so excited because I already have those schools lined up and be able to connect them right away. And then the players that are struggling, I know what they're feeling and the stress of, like, going into your senior year and having to, like, beg with your teachers, please, what do I need to do, and stuff. I've had those conversations with my high school teachers. So it was a big eye opener. But I think time management is something that I didn't have when I was smaller and younger. And now I've obviously I've perfected that, but it took a while to get into that routine. And like you said too, like you waking up early, that's a lifestyle change, time management. I'm sure you probably don't even need an alarm clock. Your dogs are probably scratching at you to wake you up like mine, but you know when to wake up, and that's time management and a life skill to definitely get. And that's what we want in our young generation, because they're paving the way. I hope someone becomes me, and that's what we're trying to do is mold the next generation in soccer.
A little bit of timing, no matter what predicament you're in, you'll find a way. And when you find yourself and like your time management and your own, I don't know, self-discipline, you end up moving forward. Everything becomes positive. I'm going to say one word to you, and it doesn't represent the cuisine, the beauty of the country, but certainly the nationality. Italy. Go on.
Yeah.
Italy. Well, give me some on Italy. I love the place.
Yeah, and I just saw your flags back there. You're rocking an Italy, Italian, and a Canadian for me, or just you always have that up? You change them out for your guests?
It's just for you.
Yeah, no, I spent a lot of time in Italy as a player, as a fan, as a citizen. So I'm a dual citizen. So my family on my dad's side and my mom's side is kind of spread out all the way from the north down to the south. So a lot of influences, a lot of discussions on obviously who to support as a young player. In my family, we have Inter fans, Napoli fans, Parma fans, Udinese fans, and of course my team, Juventus. So I think having that culture of loving a team so young, and my grandfather was a very big fan. Having a team to support so young kind of obviously established me, and being Italian. I remember when Italy lost against Brazil and Baggio missed that PK. Mm-hmm. I remember that moment, and I was really young. And I remember that moment when France beat Italy as well. And I remember my dad and my grandfather like storming the yard and like kicking and obviously saying words that I won't repeat on this in Italian back. But I remember those moments, and I was like, wow, like I remember those, and I kept saying like, wow, like these are moments that they're so passionate about this sport. Like I am as well. And I just want to see it through and keep it going. But yeah, having that Italian background is huge. Obviously going there and living, I was just outside of Pescara in Abruzzo, living out there and playing and working on my craft when I was 14, 15. So I think those were like great moments because I was living in the culture. Like it's so different there and being European compared to being North American. Like simple things, like I always remember simple, like small things like showering after practice is something that we're not used to here. You play, you leave, you go to the car. And then in Italy, you play and then you shower. So for me to get used to that was huge. Or having a big lunch and then everything shutting down in Italy from like that 2 to 6 o'clock. So when I first got there, I wanted to go out and go shopping or go to a store, shopping center, and it's all closed. So I think that culture and that lifestyle is amazing. I've been back so many times. It's amazing. I've gotten a chance to obviously work with Juventus and tour. So like a dream job to work with the academy. And I did a course there for 2 weeks inside the stadium. Right. So, and then and obviously, and then to see the game, like I'd say, I always remember little things and like this fresh cut grass from the field, like the smell of that field. Yeah, like that. Like, and we were just at the top of a stadium and just smelling the grass and seeing how they were cutting it every day. Drinking an espresso was amazing. So yeah, wow, that's a good picture. And that Liverpool Everton there, obviously you know Jimmy very well. Jimmy had taken me to Liverpool to see it, and I never knew how close they were till we were watching. We were outside of. Yeah, we were just right outside Liverpool Stadium, and we were looking out, and you could see Everton's right across, and I just loved it.
And I was going to move on to that. Mr. Spielberg stepped in there with a photo, but that's brilliant because I want to stay on that. Italy and obviously experience in the UK. The culture's the same. 2 different languages, 2 different countries, but the culture is it's almost like inside you. You live it, you breathe it. So hey, UK with Jimmy, Pro Soccer Global, Chris as well. I've got to give Chris a shout anyway. Talk about a little bit about your experience, in there in the UK and your involvement with the Pro Soccer Global project.
Oh my God! First of all, that beard Chris has is on point. It's on point. You have to see it up close too. A very well groomed guy. So I think with that, I obviously after I played, I moved down to England to become a coach and took the coaching qualifications there. I wanted to challenge myself because here in Canada, I got my license pretty young, but I knew I was getting passed because I was a female coach. And I shouldn't have got my provincial licensing at 19. I wasn't ready. I ran probably the worst session I ever ran in my life, but I knew I wasn't going to be challenged here. And I said, if I'm a dual citizen, why not move to the UK? So I moved to the UK 2014, 2015, got my licensing and came back to Canada and started coaching here. And I hadn't been back since 2015. So in 2015, I obviously saw women's soccer just developing in the country and the men's game. I got to go and watch games when I was there in the UK in 2015, and I wanted to go back. So last year, right before the pandemic in January, I just turned 30 and my mom said, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to Hawaii? Like, let's book a trip. This is a big milestone birthday. And I said, can you pay for me to go to England? I want to go on a backpacking trip and see all my friends in the industry, people who've done my coaching courses with, coaching at professional clubs now, all my friends and people I connected with. So instead of going to Hawaii, I decided to go further my education and took 2 weeks to England. I left on my birthday, flew out on my birthday, landed, started just touring people that I knew. And Jimmy and I had connected on LinkedIn. And he basically had messaged me and said, hey, if you want to come to Manchester and see what I do, come and I could take you around Man City. So I said, okay, why not? I have a couple days before I leave for Italy because I was going to work with the Italian Federation. My friends involved with the U15 girls in Italy for the Italian Federation. And I took the train up to Manchester and Jimmy picked me up. And I just said, okay, we're probably just going to go and drive around cities, stadium, park, and take pictures and then leave. Like, I didn't know who Jimmy was and his involvement with City. Now. Yeah, oh yeah. And so we pulled up at City's Academy grounds, and the doors opened, and Jimmy gave his ID, and they said, "Hey, Jimmy," and the next thing you know, we're driving into City grounds. I go, okay, Jimmy just booked a tour or something. Like anyone could do this. And
Not
next thing you
Jimmy.
know, we're having coffee and in the lounge. And we ended up watching some training. Yeah, there's a stadium as well. So not only did we get to watch training inside the academy grounds, but we got to watch the boys play, U16 boys. We got to watch the young girls play. And then we also went and watched the FA Cup when City played Fulham. And he did all of this for me. And I kept saying, like, Jimmy, there's no way you keep doing this. Like, let me pay for some of this stuff. Let me do something in return. He's like, no, I want you to see what we do, Pro Soccer Global, what we do. We have a group on tour. Cancel your trip to Italy and stay. So I kind of sat there and said, should I do this? Should I cancel the trip? And I believed in Jimmy and Chris from speaking to them so much that I didn't fly to Italy. I missed my flight and just stayed with them and learned from them and watched their kids on tour. Yeah, no, the group there. And I just saw what they were doing in these elite tours and showcase tours and camps that they were doing with players. And obviously the group was over from Hungary. And just the way they interacted and the way scouts would come up to them from the academy teams that they were playing and say, hey, we like this boy. We like this boy. And I said, hey, like, we got to sit down and talk about bringing this to Canada, because all week when I was with them, and I stayed with them for almost a week, I was showing them videos of players I was working with here. And I said, Jimmy, you need to see this player. You need to see this player. Chris, you need to see this player. You need to work with this player. And finally we sat down and said, let's bring this to Canada. And I was worried, and I told them so many times, this has been done in Canada, where people came over with this beautiful British accent and said to people, hey, listen, I can get you to these places, taking their money and no tryouts. And it's happened so many times. So I said, I believe in you guys. I believe this is what we need, but you're going to have skeptics here in Canada. And of course, when we announced it, we got like 200 people on the call. We had people say, no, this is BS. This is never going to work. This is never going to work. Obviously, with COVID, we've picked 4 teams now. We had four tryouts for 4 different groups. We've picked 4 teams. We're waiting to go down. But the talent in some of these groups, especially on the girl side, because obviously for me, female soccer is my clientele is obviously bigger. The females that we have, Jimmy and Chris, obviously see some talented players. But it's been amazing with them. It's been amazing to work with them. And yeah, we're just developing that next generation to go on, and we're hopefully going down in July.
I spoke with Jimmy quite a lot, and if we get Jimmy on the show, I know you had him on your show. I'm going to get him a translator, so I think you know where I'm coming from with that a little bit. So, and I've spoke with them, and they seem to me to be working on 2 tiers. Well, 3. 1, it's genuine, it's real. 2, if you're a good player, there's no promises that you're going to be a professional player, but you will receive top quality level training, etc., within that program. And 3, cultural aspect. Am I right on those 3? That's what I perceive from Jimmy and Chris, and I know speaking with you. Am I right on that one?
Yeah, you hit it on the mark. I think for them, especially around Brexit, has obviously changed a little bit about how soccer and becoming a pro in England will work. And I've listened to podcasts and sent Jimmy and Chris thousands of messages say, hey, how does this work if a player wants to come over now leaving the EU? And they've been on the calls and they've been on the Zooms, and they're not promising, hey, you're going to get to Man City. And Jimmy being a scout there, if I just told Jimmy, it's easy here in Canada to drive a Ferrari and lie to people and live in a mansion and take people's money here in soccer, or do it the right way and be humble. And they're nothing but humble. But just with Jimmy's connections at City, we could sell that to people, but we know that it's going to be maybe one in our lifetime that even gets a sniff at City. Yeah. So why not give them realistic opportunities at category 2 or 3 or 4 where people kind of don't look at those tiers and say, I don't want to come because we're playing TNS, a little academy in Wales, not knowing that it's still a professional setting. So I think the education piece, Chris and Jimmy have spent countless hours for free talking to people in Canada and educating people on the tiers and what it takes. And I know they're going to do it because they genuinely believe in it and they're so passionate like I am about it. And I know we're eventually going to get these tours and we might have players look at tier 4, tier 5, whatever, a semi-pro, but it's going to be an experience of a lifetime. I saw the players in Hungary, the little U10, U11 boys,
brilliant, get
that experience and just feel so humbled. And especially when some of them were told, not here's a trial, but told that they have a real shot at coming. And that opened my eyes when we sat in Starbucks and told those parents, and they let me sit in there. And I don't speak their language in Hungary, but I was able to listen to them and the faces of the parents. And I remember my mom's face when I was getting offers, and it was a good experience because I want to see the face of a parent or a player when they said, hey, you have a shot to come here and live and play. And that's something where I know Jimmy and Chris will deliver for our players, even if it's something small, but just getting a sniff and getting out of North America and into the environment in across the pond.
I think you going over there and experiencing it, people think, okay, let's stay with their territory, which is northwest of England, Liverpool, Manchester. There you go. Liverpool, Everton, City United. Okay. I don't think what people realise is my state of Colorado, you could actually squidge up the United Kingdom and fit it in Colorado. Okay. A lot more people. I get that. And we won't go on the cuisine. But within a 60-mile radius of Liverpool and Manchester, there's probably 50 to 60 professional or semi-professional clubs that run tremendous academies and also a wonderful potential education schooling system should you progress from high school and want to play and study in the UK. And you mentioned TNS. So you've seen that. So the opportunities are outside as well as those major clubs, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I want people to realize that. And I always talk to female players as well. We're never going to be paid like a Messi contract. I think he makes like $5.30 a second. We're never going to get there.
Nearly as much as me. Yeah.
Yeah. But I also think for female players going and sacrificing and playing and maybe being paid like equivalency to $300 Canadian. In obviously the UK, probably 150 pounds is what some of our players have been told.
Right.
But then getting a job and an experience out of it and playing at that level. We have so many players playing all across, and there's so many good social media accounts that shout out these Canadian players playing in those leagues. And why not? And to play over there and be in it. Like even someone who like I obviously my dad was over there and he was living in Peterborough, and that's where we went and stayed when I was over there. And his partner's aunt was like, I'm not a football fan, but she knew more about football than anyone here that I talked to. And she's not even a fan. So like you said, just in Liverpool, Manchester, there's so many clubs and academies, semi-pro, pro, but everybody knows about it. And that's why I want to change the culture here in North America, to talk about it more. And for someone just to know the basics on how to advance through the systems, because people still here don't have a clue on how to get scholarships or how to play at the next level, or like zero clue on how to get across the pond and be able to. And obviously here, being a British Commonwealth country, we have opportunities to go and get visas to live and work in the UK, which people don't realize that you can go into the UK being in Canada and, supporting the Queen and being a British colony. We have those opportunities to go over and work and live there and play.
Yeah, I think you just educated everybody out there without me having to say it, outside the box, because there's nothing wrong with Bristol City, Bristol Rovers, Salford Ladies, Stockport County Ladies, Shauna Duffy, first team coach there. It's evolving through that. Reading, Brighton, those I don't want to be derogatory, those lesser clubs, but they're all over there for the boys and the girls with their education. Now I'm going to stay on that topic because you've touched on Hungary. So we've got to be a little bit fantastic cuisine over there in Hungary. And that's another option for Pro Soccer Global. Now, okay, the pinnacle, the tops of everything is the college system and ladies soccer, men's as well, here in the US. You know, the pinnacle of the ladies side of the game. But have you witnessed the development? And I'm going to touch with the UK, England predominantly, with your visit there, and Italy, because you know a lot about that as well, and you should do. The development of that. So let's touch on three: Italy, England, UK, and Canadian ladies soccer. Is it up and coming? Is it evolving? Are we developing players for the ladies game in those three countries that you know very well?
Yeah, so I think I've hurt my chances getting a job with Canadian soccer and a job with our province, but
no,
I'm not going to be like quiet and political about it anymore, because we're missing thousands of players here in Canada. Not having a professional league here in Canada, especially in Toronto, like just having an NWSL franchise, something we talk about a lot, as is hurting a lot of players. And a lot of players, after leaving their 4 years of school, they're like, okay, I'll go into the workforce, or I'll get a job. I interviewed someone recently that basically said, if I don't make it pro, I have a backup of going to med school. And she's playing Division I soccer in the ACC, the best conference in America. And I'm looking at it as there's no way she's going to. And she won a national championship twice. And it's like, how can't she make it? Or the player I see here in the local park kicking the ball, that's a phenomenal player. So the development in Canada on the female side, youth-wise, is amazing. But it's after youth, what happens? A lot of players don't go on and even play university soccer here, and we lose them because they just don't want to go. Like, the best class of players for me that I've worked with are the 2003 class, which are seniors now in grade 12, and we work with, I think, 82 women's players, and we right now only have 15, 16 signed. So a lot of them are deciding, especially with COVID not helping, they're deciding not to go to school and play. They're obviously looking to further their education, but not play. And it's because they haven't had these opportunities, and there's no pro league. They don't see it as a future for them. And then obviously in Italy, it's up and coming. Teams are getting clubs now. I know also, like Juventus, Roma, all these teams needed a club in order to stay in Champions League. I get it. I get that FIFA said they needed to do that, but they could have stopped there. But now you're seeing like Bari and all these smaller clubs in Italy have female soccer and female professionals.
Torino,
exactly. Yeah,
brilliant.
And you're seeing it, and they're streaming the players, and players can play up, and a U14 player can play U19. We have a girl playing with Juventus right now. She's a 2004, so 16, 17 years old. She's with the U19s, and you don't see that here. Here you play your own age group. So, and obviously living in the States for so long as well. I know the state system obviously is much different on the female side, but we're nowhere near that here in Canada. The UK and Italy are going to be contenders against people like Canada's women's team or the States. South American teams as well are coming up, like Chile, Ecuador, Argentina. They're going to be contenders. In Canada soccer, if they don't start to funnel players and the female players through a better system, we are going to fall out of the rankings. We're ranked 9th now, great, but you have the best players, and I think they have an amazing team right now, but so many players are being missed, and it's so sad to see. We interview so many Canadians that are playing over there and haven't even got a whiff of the national program, and they would be game changers. Like, you know, I talk about the player playing at Juventus, 17 years old. Why she's not called up by Canada, beyond me. And I look at things like this, and it frustrates me, but I think every country is doing it right. Even people, like I just connected with someone in India, and they're starting a women's league, and a good friend of mine is a head coach in Egypt, and they're funneling players much better than we are, and they've had less years doing it. So we definitely need to do a better job at it and get more players through the system and just build our pool even bigger.
I think they are fine words. And one, you're not in trouble with anybody up there in Canada, because I'll be over there straight away if they let me in, and we'll sort it out. There's a lot of places around the planet that need sorting out, but I do understand your frustrations. I had it for many years with the UK and the European game, but it is picking up. So I'm going to leave it with a bit of controversy here. Because I can. If you're Canadian and you're up there, have a look at Maria. Get some advice from her. Pro Soccer Global. There's no reason why you can't go and enhance your career in Europe. Maria has contacts, and there's no reason why we can't do that with the ladies' side, because to a certain degree, everybody's looking at now, how come Germany and Europe have developed all the US men's players, So I'm going to be controversial here. So what's happening here? Why do we have to send them abroad to do it? Get your finger out, everyone. Give me a call. I'll get you on the show. I'll probably be deported, but hey, you know what? I will be back. Maria, I'm going to say, I will leave it at that before I get in trouble. Thank you for joining us. I know time is precious, but I can't let you go without asking you my quick fire 5 questions, which I have here. Awesome. And what team do you support? Full stop. What team?
So, diehard Juventus fan, but I know I get this question a lot. If I were to support an EPL team, I only support Queen's Park Rangers if I can. Only reason why is because when I was over there in England, I got to go watch them a bunch of times. And Julian Hoylett, Charlie Austin, Ferdinand were playing at the time, and I would sit by myself and watch the games. And I absolutely love the grounds and how passionate the fans were, and made some really good friends who support them, and watched all the games sitting behind the bench by myself, behind the net. There's like 3 single seats, and I would sit in one and connect with so many people at the game. So Queen's Park is my team in the EPL. I'm obviously would love anyone in City, Liverpool, but QPR, but no one will beat Juventus. I pick them every year to win the Champions League. It's going to be this year. And that's my team.
All right, I'll give you I'm going to give Manisha Taylor a big shout out through the Koi Sports CIC connections that I've got over there. She's down in London, works for Queen's Park Rangers, and she does a lot for, I'm going to do it a plug again, Swaggerlicious. So we'll check that out. Maria, I'll hook you up with Manisha. She does absolutely fantastic work down there in QPR. And they have the smallest changing room facilities on the planet. They're the size of a small egg box. I've been in them. What player? Who's your player?
So when I was younger was Paolo Maldini, which is really weird because he played for our rival, but absolutely loved his defending. I love his story. I love players with a story, being 3 generations with AC Milan, his dad, him, and now his son. Absolutely love that. Was a phenomenal player with the national team on the women's side. 2 players as I was growing up. Mia Hamm, I think everybody loved her. And Cara Lang, that obviously left the sport due to injuries at a very young age, but making the women's national team in Canada at 15, having a great career, then obviously ending short. Now in the game, I love Vardy. I love his story, coming up through the ranks, semi-professional, working in a chicken factory all the way up to Leicester. Yeah. Love a story like that. Rashford, how can't you love a story and what he's doing there? Obviously Juventus, I'll take anyone, but a player that I was talking about yesterday with someone is Weston McKennie. I think he's going to be the next big name in households, and obviously so excited that we have him with Juventus.
You don't need to start big to be big, do you? If you roll your sleeves up and work hard, there's proof in the pudding, Yeah. And what a great first name he's got. Yeah. So moving on real quick, one word of advice or sentence to a player, and again to the parent looking to evolve their academic and athletic career. Quick, brief sentence on each. Player first.
Player, self-reflection. Know kind of where you're at. Reflect on it, and it's okay if you're not a Division I athlete. There's always a spot for you at the next level. So self-reflection for a player is number one, something that's helped me along my journey.
And for the parent, advice in nurturing that.
Let players make mistakes. I talk about this a lot, and I've written some topics when I was over in the FA with this. leave the car ride home for the player to relax. Don't go at them in the car. And I always worry when my athletes leave the car ride home. And I talk about that a lot. The car ride home, as a parent, listen and let them have the opportunity to either tell you how amazing they played or how terrible they played. Don't tell them how they played. They know, and they don't want that car ride home to be berated. So leave them in that car ride. And that's my advice to them. Let them come to you. It's
their game, not the dads or the mums, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The kids' game.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, food. Come on then. You've got so many cultural cuisines there. I know it's not going to be fish and chips, but there we go.
Yeah.
Food.
You know what? I am living here. No, one of my favorites is a fried. I saw my dad and his partner and some of my family tune in. I would kill for a big English fry. That's probably my go-to meal. I probably have it every day in England. That's my food. I love everything that's on a plate there. But if we're talking what I could eat and survive off of is any pasta, any type of pasta, anyway. It doesn't matter what kind. We probably eat it here 4 out of the 7 days.
You can't beat a full English breakfast.
Oh, you can't.
It's not good for you. Move on. What position did you play when you were playing? Last question.
So I ended up playing in my final career as a center midfield. Played up top, played center back or sweeper. So kind of all over, but favorite position, fell in love with it at 16 was center midfield.
Workhorse with talent, of course.
The six. I'm just pinging balls. That's it.
Majestic.
There you go. Yeah.
Fast and female. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to sign off. Thank you again, Maria. First class. We'll stay connected anyway. Post show and get a few game plans for world domination with Pro Soccer Global. I'm going to ask you to leave all our followers and viewers with one final message, and we'll catch you up. This is me signing off.
Yeah, thank you for having me. There's a good spot for a big fry here, and hopefully that opens up and you can get over. We'll go up and have it together. But I think my message for anyone listening to this is to connect and ask questions, even if you think it's not a right question or you can't put your words together. Reach out. It's so easy to connect with so many different people, and whatever you have a question with, Google it, search it on Instagram, LinkedIn, all the social media channels. Be able to reach out to people and ask questions and learn. Read books, listen to podcasts, and develop yourself. This is the best time now to develop yourself, and reach out to me as well. If I don't know the answer, I will know someone in the industry, even if it's not soccer, that will, and I will be able to connect you. And thank you for doing this. This was amazing. And I saw tons of my family coming in here. So I miss you all, and hopefully we could be together soon. I just wanted to give them all a shout out, but thank you for doing this live. It's a great platform to be on.
Yes, it's from the floor, play the ball off the ground, and Aiden.